Hello, my name is Glenn Murphy, and this is the Pathology of Bojack Horseman. Bojack Horseman is a character from a popular Netflix original television show about a washed-up Hollywood actor that's struggling to find meaning in his life after not finding much success in his career. Bojack was born into an abusive and dysfunctional family where his parents, Beatrice Horseman and Butterscotch Horseman, took little to no interest in providing for Bojack's emotional needs growing up. Butterscotch was an alcoholic who verbally and physically abused Bojack, while Beatrice resented Bojack for ruining her life and being a constant reminder of all the mistakes she made while with Butterscotch, to which she constantly reminds Bojack to repay for everything he has done to her by being a famous Hollywood actor. Bojack will later become a household name with his hit television show Horsing Around, but will gradually fall into the habits of his parents and develop alcoholism, to which causes the cancellation of his show. Bojack has been described by many of his franchise associates as a bitter, irritable, depressed, self-loathing narcissist with self-destructive tendencies. Bojack has the habit to ruminate his negative thoughts and emotions, stemming from the idea that he views himself as worthless and just a parasite to everyone around him. He quickly shifts his behavior to viewing himself as superior than others because of his former Hollywood status as an A-list celebrity. Bouts of depressive episodes frequently happen to Bojack at random moments, which can last from a few hours to several months. When Bojack has these episodes, he's either bedbound or indulging in alcohol or drugs. Another aspect of Bojack's behavior is how easily swayed he can be when met with decisions that require too much responsibility. This is shown numerous times with various work relationships and personal relationships, all which resulted in Bojack doing whatever they say/need of him. Mental disorders that are prevalent to Bojack's character are depression, suicidal ideations, PTSD, antisocial personality disorder, dependent personality disorder, and much more. Throughout the show, Bojack has expressed many times that his life has no real meaning to it, even going as far as to commit suicide various times also. Once while driving full speed on the highway, letting go of the wheel, but stopped the car at the last second, and another while drowning himself in a pool, which he succeeds in doing but is later resuscitated by paramedics. Due to Bojack's upbringing, it's hard for him to express his emotions to others, so instead puts on a nihilistic persona to degrade those around him, while using alcohol/drugs to cope with the trauma. But as he engages with his vices, he's reminded that he's just like his parents, and that no matter how hard he tries, he's just as bad as a person as them. Bojack has a tendency to say/do whatever he wants with little consideration for others, which hurts or ruins the relationships he has established. This is shown when he visits his friend Herb Kazaz, who Bojack hasn't spoken to in years. But once Bojack is informed that Herb is diagnosed with cancer, Bojack comes to visit him just to make himself feel better about not speaking to Herb for so long. But Herb is able to see through Bojack's intentions and tells him to leave, later on passing away. Bojack's behavior is a complex spectrum of emotions, which is why he's such a well-written character. While he has flaws of being a jerk to people, he has moments of realizing that his behavior is destructive and will cause isolation with the few people he generally cares for. Each season finale ends with a critical relationship to Bojack's character ending due to his past wrongs coming back to haunt him. While in the earlier seasons, he only acknowledges that he's a bad person when confronted by people. But later on, he shows personal growth, not trying to salvage broken relationships, and instead lets them go. Before his development into self-actualization, Bojack thinks only of himself and how he can benefit the situation, going as far to emotionally manipulate, threaten self-harm, and use his status or resources to get what he wants out of others. Because of his father being practically absent from Bojack's life, Bojack projects onto a famous athlete named Secretariat he idolizes as a young child. The reason for why Bojack idolized Secretariat was because he was everything Bojack wanted in a father figure growing up, which is why later on which is why later on in the season, Bojack takes on the role of portraying secretary in a biographical movie. Bojack's recklessness puts not only himself in danger, but also the people around him. Throughout the show, Bojack is shown drinking excessive amounts of alcohol and experimenting with drugs, to which numerous people suggest that he goes into rehab. Although his actions had done irreparable damage to his relationships, arguably the one that has suffered the most will be Sarah Lynn. She was a former co-star on BoJack's show who initially recovered from substance abuse to turn her life around. But BoJack makes her relapse and binges on several drugs, and which causes her death. During his period in rehab, he is on the road to recovery, but in doing so, causes a recovering alcoholic to relapse by accidentally leaving a water bottle with vodka in it, which Dr. Chimps drinks. Before Bojack's final attempt to take his life in the pool, he leaves a voice message for his friend Diane Newey, in the hopes that she will talk to him, in the hopes that she will talk out of him going through with it. But she later discovers the voice message after Bojack is resuscitated. BoJack Horseman is a great representation of how mental illness isn't something to be glorified, and how a person shouldn't use their mental illness as an excuse to justify any wrongdoings they might have committed. The reason why BoJack is a personified horse is to allow the viewer to view themselves in this flawed character, putting themselves in the shoes of BoJack and question, why did BoJack do that? Why did BoJack say that? How will this discussion of how would this interaction affect BoJack's relationship with his character, and much more questions and scenarios? It creates a discussion on if anyone is truly a good person, and the environment a person is raised in doesn't have to define their overall character.